The NRA has been the backbone of the Second Amendment for generations, our first line of defense against gun-grabbing politicians. Donald Trump, a supposedly champion of 2A rights, used to be one of our recent high-profile allies. He brought firepower to the cause like no one else. But now, Trump has turned his back on the NRA, claiming he's lost his faith in the organization. In this video, we'll talk about how the strong bond between Trump and the NRA crumbled into dust, dragging the Second Amendment movement into the crossfire. We'll talk about the news flying around. Trump says the NRA didn't do enough for his 2024 campaign, while insiders blame bloated legal fees and corruption scandals for draining the group's credibility. And let's not ignore the financial meltdown that's left the NRA bleeding cash and struggling to stay relevant. This is no ordinary political spat. This is about the future of the fight for our rights. If the NRA can't get its act together, who's going to stand up for gun owners when the government comes knocking? So buckle up, because we're diving into a story of betrayal, mismanagement, and the harsh reality of what happens when the guardians of our freedoms lose their way. You're not going to want to miss this. So if you didn't know, in 2016, the NRA threw its full weight behind Donald Trump's campaign, reportedly spending over $30 million to secure his victory. The alliance between Donald Trump and the NRA was nothing short of legendary, a powerhouse in every sense of the word. It wasn't just about financial support or political endorsements. It was a mutual rallying cry for preserving the Second Amendment against relentless anti-gun agendas. The NRA poured millions into Trump's campaigns, while Trump, in turn, championed gun rights on the national stage like no president before him. Together, they mobilized millions of gun owners and Second Amendment advocates, creating a movement that struck fear into the hearts of anti-gun politicians. Before Trump, the NRA had aligned itself with other Republican presidents, most notably Ronald Reagan. Reagan was a longtime supporter of gun rights and spoke at the NRA's annual meetings, calling them defenders of freedom. However, the relationship became complicated during his presidency, when he supported the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act and the assault weapons ban, measures that deeply disappointed pro-Second Amendment advocates. George W. Bush also maintained a cordial relationship with the NRA, appearing at their events and receiving endorsements during his campaigns. While his presidency saw no major federal gun control legislation, the level of partnership never reached the fervent synergy seen with Trump. Trump's connection with the NRA stood out because of his vocal, unapologetic defense of the Second Amendment and his willingness to make it a cornerstone of his political brand. Unlike his predecessors, Trump embraced the NRA's agenda wholeheartedly, making their alliance a true bulwark against the growing tide of anti-gun sentiment in America. But now, that once powerful bond is in shambles. Trump's grievances with the NRA are not without merit. In the 2024 election cycle, the NRA's support dwindled to a mere shadow of its former self, with reports indicating a significant reduction in financial backing. This paltry support is a slap in the face to a president who championed our gun rights from day one. It's no wonder Trump has lost his faith in the organization. Adding insult to injury, the NRA has been hemorrhaging funds on exorbitant legal fees. It's a betrayal of every dues-paying member who believed their hard-earned money was defending their rights, not lining the pockets of lawyers. To make matters worse, Brewer's political donations have raised eyebrows, with allegations of contributions to anti-gun Democrats, further eroding trust within the pro-Second A community. NRA leaders like First Vice President Bill Batchenberg have acknowledged the rift, emphasizing the urgent need to rebuild trust with both Trump and the organization's donors. But words are cheap. The NRA's actions, or lack thereof, speak volumes about its current priorities, and defending our gun rights doesn't seem to be at the top of the list. The organization's annual deficit has skyrocketed to $33 million, a sharp increase from the previous year's $22 million. Even more alarming, over the past 6 years, the NRA has hemorrhaged $1.3 billion in revenue, a catastrophic decline fueled by scandals, internal disputes, and blatant corruption. The financial hemorrhaging doesn't stop there. Legal settlements have further shackled the NRA's financial stability, imposing severe restrictions on the use of funds from the NRA Foundation. These settlements have dried up resources that should be fueling the fight to protect our gun rights, leaving the organization financially crippled and strategically hamstrung. Wayne LaPierre, the former CEO of the NRA, egregiously exploited the organization's funds for personal indulgences, betraying the trust of its members and tarnishing the NRA's reputation. A New York jury found that LaPierre misappropriated approximately $5.4 million, using donor contributions to finance a lavish lifestyle that starkly contrasts with the organization's mission. LaPierre's misuse of funds included multiple private jet trips to the Bahamas, totaling over $500,000. He also authorized $135 million in NRA contracts to a vendor who provided him with luxury travel perks, such as access to a 108-foot yacht. Additionally, LaPierre expensed personal items like mosquito treatment and landscaping for his home, as well as gifts for friends and family, all funded by NRA members' dues. The betrayal deepens with revelations of LaPierre's attempts to conceal these expenditures. In a 2009 meeting, the NRA's treasurer discussed plans to hide LaPierre's luxury expenses by routing them through the organization's public relations firm, Ackerman McQueen. This scheme involved issuing a Platinum American Express card to an NRA executive, with charges billed back to the NRA under vague invoices, effectively obscuring the true nature of the spending. The consequences of LaPierre's actions have been severe. In July 2024, a New York judge banned him from holding any paid position within the NRA for 10 years, underscoring the gravity of his misconduct. This decision aims to prevent further exploitation of the organization's resources and to restore integrity within the NRA's leadership. LaPierre's extravagant spending and the subsequent legal repercussions have inflicted significant damage on the NRA, both financially and reputationally. The organization now faces the daunting task of rebuilding trust with its members and the public, while addressing the internal divisions that have been exacerbated by this scandal. As the NRA navigates this tumultuous period, attention turns to William Brewer III, the organization's chief legal strategist, whose tenure has ignited controversy and deepened divisions within the NRA. Brewer's firm has reportedly billed the NRA over $54 million in just 2 years, a staggering sum that has raised alarms among members and leadership alike. Former NRA President Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North criticized these exorbitant fees, stating that Brewer's firm was, quote, draining NRA cash at mind-boggling speed. Such financial strain has forced the organization to implement layoffs and furloughs, undermining its ability to effectively champion gun rights. Defenders of Brewer argue that his aggressive legal tactics have been instrumental in fending off regulatory investigations and legal challenges aimed at dismantling the NRA. They credit him with navigating the organization through a labyrinth of legal threats that could have otherwise led to its dissolution. However, this defense rings hollow to many who see the astronomical legal fees as a betrayal of the NRA's mission and a misuse of members' dues. The controversy surrounding Brewer has exacerbated existing internal divisions within the NRA. The organization is now split between the old guard, who have maintained control for decades, and reformists seeking to steer the NRA back to its core principles. This infighting has diverted focus from the NRA's primary objective, defending the Second Amendment. In May 2024, the NRA's Board of Directors elected Doug Hamlin, a former U.S. Marine Corps officer and longtime NRA Publications executive, as the new CEO and executive vice president. Hamlin has vowed to rebuild the organization, aiming to regain members lost under previous leadership and to restore the NRA's influence. He has set an ambitious goal of reaching 10 million members, a significant increase from the current numbers. Despite these efforts, the shadow of Brewer's influence looms large. His continued role and the financial burdens associated with his legal representation remain contentious issues. The internal discord has not only weakened the NRA's political clout, but has also sown doubt among its members and donors, many of whom question the organization's commitment to its foundational mission. As the NRA grapples with these internal challenges, the broader implications for gun rights advocacy are profound. The organization's weakened state has emboldened anti-gun politicians and activists who see an opportunity to advance their agendas amid the NRA's turmoil. The erosion of trust and unity within the NRA threatens to undermine the collective strength of Second Amendment supporters at a time when their vigilance is most needed. Historically, the NRA has been a formidable force in Republican campaigns, wielding significant power to protect our constitutional rights. In 2016, the organization spent over $50 million to back Donald Trump and several Republican Senate candidates, establishing itself as a major force in the election. This level of support was instrumental in securing victories for pro-Second Amendment candidates, ensuring that our rights remain safeguarded. However, the NRA's financial clout has diminished alarmingly. By 2020, political spending fell by more than $33.6 million, a 40% decrease from 2016, which is a direct consequence of the organization's internal turmoil, including mounting fees from fights with regulators, internal infighting, and the pandemic devastating the NRA's finances. Because of this financial instability, the NRA had to scale back its political activities, leaving a void in defense of our gun rights. The impact on Trump's 2024 campaign is profound. Without the robust support of the NRA, the dynamics of his campaign are altered, potentially weakening his stance against anti-gun legislation. Although the NRA's Political Victory Fund endorsed Trump in May 2024, the organization's diminished resources mean that this endorsement lacks the substantial backing it once provided. This absence of strong NRA support could embolden opponents of the Second Amendment, jeopardizing the rights we've fought tirelessly to protect. Trump may not realize it, but his relationship with gun rights advocates is hanging by a thread. Let's be honest. His administration made some great strides, but there were missteps that left a sour taste for staunch 2A supporters. The bump stock ban? That was a gut punch to the Second Amendment community. Sure, the Supreme Court eventually tossed it out, but the damage was done. It raised a burning question. Is Trump as committed to the Second Amendment as he claims to be? Now, with the NRA in shambles and its influence circling the drain, the stakes couldn't be higher. If Trump wants to earn back the trust of the pro-gun community, he needs to show up for us, unapologetically and without compromise. Meanwhile, the NRA's collapse has left a gaping hole in the Second Amendment movement. The anti-gun mob, backed by their cronies in Congress and the White House, are chomping at the bit to exploit this chaos. They see the NRA's fall from grace as their golden ticket to ram through stricter gun laws and chip away at our freedoms, one piece of legislation at a time. Without the NRA's might, who's left to stop them? The clock is ticking, and pro-2A groups are scrambling to fill the void, but resources are thin and the anti-gun lobby is flush with cash. This isn't just a hiccup, it's a full-blown crisis. The NRA's failures have put our rights on the chopping block, leaving gun owners more vulnerable than ever. If the organization doesn't get its act together, and fast, what's to stop the anti-gunners from steamrolling over everything we fought for? The Second Amendment needs a strong champion now more than ever. But can the NRA rise from its ashes to reclaim its role as the defender of our constitutional freedoms? That is the million-dollar question. And that's a wrap. The NRA's fall from grace has shaken the Second Amendment movement to its core. We've covered the betrayal of its members by corrupt leadership, the financial mismanagement that left the organization bleeding cash, and the rift with Donald Trump that has left gun rights advocates in turmoil. The consequences of this collapse are dire. Anti-gun politicians smell blood in the water, and the void left by the NRA has left us all vulnerable. What do you think about the NRA's future? Will it be able to recover from its financial woes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the bell for updates. Thanks for watching.